The topic of illegal immigration, or people who just finesse the immigration system as well, has been a hot topic for a while now. And now a lot of Black Americans are talking about this topic. A lot of them are saying that we are being hurt by illegal immigration, and also people finessing the system to get into this country. Well, there's a new crackdown that's starting to happen in the area of people who are finessing the system. Now, I know a lot of focus has been the southern border, and you're talking about, Trump with his wall, but something that's going on in this country with people coming in with visas, and then they are overstaying their visas. More people come in that way, actually, than any other way. Now, there are going to be people say, oh, well, you talking right now and sounding like Trump. No, I'm talking the reality for the Black community. When you have people, and I've seen it with my own two eyes, when people come into this country, they come into the Black communities first. They do not come and go to the white communities. They are allowed to set up businesses in the Black communities. Black people can't even set up businesses in their own communities. And when Black people say about Black people, oh, Black people don't have no money, that's a lie. Why is it that immigrants come in here legally or illegally, and they set up their businesses in the Black community, they do very well there? Why is that? If Black people don't have any money. The issue is we need to have Black folk stop thinking in their mind that they're so broke, they're so poor, they're so destitute, because that's a lie. Because if you were, you wouldn't be the best dressed, you wouldn't have the latest phones, the latest shoes, anything new, you got it. You're always looking good, you're always dressing good. I mean, that's just who you are. So broke people can't do that. Show me a broke person or a broke nation of people that dress like you. It just don't happen. Sorry. Go to some parts of the world. You can go to even some African nations, and how some of them in certain sections of the country, how they don't have what you have. You live in luxury compared to how some of them are living. OK, so when we talk about immigration, and Dr. Claude Anderson has really talked about that. If you listen to him, and he was saying how they purposely imported hundreds and hundreds of millions of people inside this country to sabotage Black Americans. And they made sure to put them above Black Americans. It's just God's honest truth. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment was for Black Americans coming out of slavery. But yet they have finessed their way around the 14th Amendment to allow everyone just to benefit. And then we get lower and lower and lower as a people. And every neighborhood we have, we're being pushed out of it. That's just the truth about the gentrification. Now, the issue with us, with our finances, is that the reason why we fail a lot, because we are a people that's meant to group together and unify. That's how we operate the best. It's through that unification. We do not operate based on the white man's system of this individuality. They don't work with Black folk. Every time Black people have done something to fight back or made some sort of headway, it's always been through unification. Look at Black Wall Street, unification. Look at the towns Black people built, all unification. No one was individualistic. And I don't know how many times people got to say that to us. We divide on everything. Like, can we once just take a time to put aside our differences, come together and fix the issues and problems? Now, we talking about in politics about a Black agenda and certain things that we want. And something that frustrated me today, and I'm going to talk about the immigration part, but something that just frustrated me big time today was we have one candidate that, Sister Lisa Cabrera shared with me. Her name is Marianne Williamson. She has on her website that she wants to give reparations to African Americans. And when I was showing people that, I said, hey, she actually talking about reparations. And she said African Americans. She didn't say people of color or any of that. She said African Americans, right? A big argument starts about, because she put on her website that she wants to allocate $100 billion to reparations. People say, oh, well, that's not enough. And then they're like, do you realize you have never had a candidate, at least in recent time, at least right now, put on there a whole write-up about giving reparations? You can build on that. Things can be changed with that. At least the conversation is started, and people just being outlandish in some of the way they approaching the reparations conversation. If we're going to talk about reparations, fine, but at least you can have a conversation to build upon or make some concessions to get what you want. We can't just attack someone, you know, especially when they putting on reparations on there. I'm just saying, because we know Kamala Harris isn't it. We know that. But we need to look at all candidates and all parties to see what they can give African Americans. And that's where we're on. Don't start shooting yourself in the foot. And 1 minute they hear you say you want something for African Americans, then someone offer it, and then you shooting it down, you complaining, I don't trust it. It ain't about you trusting. It's the fact is, are you going to make right on the deal? Right? So let's give candidates a chance. If they're going to say something, let's hold their foot to the fire. Let's put interviews out there on them, see what they're saying before we make an informed decision, before we start shooting people down. We have to stop doing that crap because we hurt ourselves. OK, I just went on a tangent about that. I had to. There was something in my head. But this immigration, as I told you before, is an issue for African Americans. Now, the Chinese have been finessing on this. OK, they have a thing called birth tourism. Now, birth tourism is they pay somebody over here to hook them up with a visa. They come right around the time they're going to have children. And because of the 14th Amendment, where you can be born here and you're a citizen, that is how they are finessing to get into America. They didn't have no legacy here. They didn't work like we worked. They didn't come from descendants of slaves. They are finessing the system, and they're cracking down on them about that. So now and most of them are going to California. And if you know anything about California, politically, one of the worst states in the union. Worse. Black people have been shut out so much in California. It's ridiculous. We're down to 6% of the population. They have been heavily gentrified. They have been, in some places, criminally ran out of their neighborhoods with gangs that come from south of the border. I mean, it's just horrible. And the government, you know, provides cities for them to come to. And black people don't have no cities they can go to where they feel safe. But out of Santa Ana, California, there was a business called You Win USA, where the authorities stated that they coached pregnant Chinese women on how to get into the United States to deliver babies who would automatically enjoy all the benefits of U.S. citizenship. For 2 years, the now 41-year-old racked in millions through her business, where mothers-to-be paid between $40,000 and $80,000 each to come to California, stay in an upscale apartment, and give birth. That's a lot of money for each person to come from China to get in a high-end hotel to have their baby. So their baby could be U.S. citizens. And see, you may say, why are they doing that? They're doing that because if their child's a U.S. citizen, guess what happens? They get benefits. They can get the housing. They can get the welfare. They can get the food stamps. They get whatever. Now, a lot of times these people have relatives here already. So they just finesse the game, get a child here, an anchor baby, that's what you call it, to make it a citizen. And then they say, oh, the mother needs to stay with their child. So there you go. There you go. And then more and more people are coming in. And when it comes to African Americans, we are being pushed further and further in the background. We are constantly having ourselves underneath the feet of everybody. OK, it's not just the so-called white man. Right. So they stated that Li was arrested Thursday in one of 20 people charged in the first federal crackdown on birth tourism businesses that prosecutors said brought hundreds of pregnant women to the United States. Jing Dong, 42, and Michael Liu, 53, who allegedly operated USA Happy Baby, also was arrested. More than a dozen others, including the operator of a third such business, also faced charges but are believed to have returned to China, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles said. So the Chinese is finessing big time to bring their people over here. So they flood in Africa, and now they have a way into California through birth tourism. Okay? They say, wow, they say it isn't illegal to visit the United States while pregnant. Authorities said the businesses, which were raided by federal agents, touted the benefits of having U.S. citizen babies who could get free public education and years later help the parents immigrate. There it is. There it is. And when these people come into the country, as Dr. Claude Anderson stated, they're not coming to be black folks' friend. They're coming to compete. They're coming to get resources and everything else that our ancestors fought for. that we have died for, that we hung from trees for, that we have had our churches bombed. Nobody else went through all that pain and suffering. Dogs seeked on them and water hoses turned on them. Jim Crow, the sharecropping, all the things that we've been through to get the little bit that we have, and other people could come from their countries when China, what's wrong with China? China has really elevated now. So why are they still coming over here to the United States doing that? I don't understand that. They flooding Africa as well. I mean, come on. They also stated that the women hid their pregnancies while seeking travel visas and lie about their plans, with one UN USA customer telling the consul's office she was going to visit a Trump hotel in Hawaii. That's quite funny. So they go on to Trump hotels to have their babies. Now, the charges include conspiracy, visa fraud, and money laundering. It said, but the U.S. authorities said the businesses also pose a national security risk since the customers, some who work for the Chinese government, secured American citizenship for children who can move back to the United States and once they're 21 and then sponsor their parents for green cards. So you have, see, let me tell y'all something. The Chinese have a lot of sleeper agents in this country. They do. And a lot of them are hiding right in those Chinatowns in America because they know how to get in. If they're not getting in through sex trafficking, they're getting in through finessing this way. And some of them have even been arrested at the southern border for trying to get in that way, paying coyotes to bring them in. Coyotes is another name for one of the people who guides that bring you in. They call them a coyote. They'll pay a coyote the money to bring them in too. It's not just one group of people. It's a lot of different races of people coming through that southern border. And as I stated before, we are affected as African Americans. Now, they stated they see this as a grave national security risk. Now, they stated that birth tourism businesses, okay, have long operated in California. Okay, California once again. And they say others in other states, but they mainly California, and they cater to couples from China, Russia, okay, and I seen a story about that a while back where a lot of Russian women coming over here having babies, and then they get to, you know, get on the system. Now, these Russian women coming in and doing it, they blend in a lot better than a Chinese woman will because they're white. So who's going to question that, right? That's harder to track for them. Now, they stated Nigerians are doing it and also others, okay? Now, they stated that, you know, the operators in the past had ran into trouble with local code enforcement officials when neighbors in residential areas complained about crowding or excess trash, but they didn't face federal scrutiny. So they said this week a federal grand jury indicted 4 people who ran the birth tourism business until 2015 raids, and Wen Ding, 65, who's believed to be in China and accused of operating Star Baby Care. So they found in one of their bank accounts that they had $225,000 in their bank account. I mean, just finessing for real. I mean, that is an easy business, isn't it? Help them get some visas, come over here, have your baby, $40,000 to $80,000 a head. Yeah, that's, they say they'll make it millions of dollars. So this immigration issue is much bigger than just one thing. I mean, I think this here, what we're talking about, is worse, in my opinion, because more of them doing it. And you know good and well they're not paying no taxes on this money because it's not nothing legit at all. But you need to watch everybody coming in. But my thing is the black community is going to be affected. And I know some of y'all, well, it's this. I say, listen, you can't save nobody. We have to save ourselves. We have to look out for self because they're all that trying to save everybody and saying it's okay for this one and that one, the third to do this and come in or whatever. Why is it when they do get here, they don't think about you? They get ahead of you. They have their own communities. They have their own everything. And they look down on black Americans. Let's call it what it is. Who is to come in and be our friends? No one comes in to be our friend. No one say, hey, thank you, black people, because if it wasn't meant for you, we wouldn't have an opportunity to even come in. Nobody says that about black Americans. So we better think about ourselves like everybody else think about themselves. We have to stop looking at suffering, loss, saving everybody else as the thing we just do. And you're having all this false morality, like, well, we have to be better. Why is it you have to be better than everybody? Why? I haven't read nothing in no scripture or whatever that says you have to be better than everybody. No, you have to be a good, decent person, but you have to take care of home first. And we as black folks don't take care of home. We don't. We have to look out for our communities. We have to look out for our children. Just like every group looks out for their children in their community. And I don't fault them for it. But when are we going to start doing that? It's time for black Americans to be selfish for a change, because that's saving everybody else. We don't have that reciprocated. We don't. When they deal with problems, they look at us like, you going to say something? No, you deal with yourself. We got our own problems. We are progressively worse than what we were prior to the civil rights movement. I mean, I was hearing Dr. Claude Anderson today, and he was talking about how we gained some in the civil rights movement, but now we right back to where we started prior to the civil rights movement, and then even worse. So how do we have the time to try to save everybody? We don't have it. Well, we just don't. And we got to look out for our community. We got to stop bickering and arguing about silliness. We have to get politically motivated. And when someone, well, I'm going to speak on this again, is even trying to speak on an agenda that we are supporting, reparations is one of them, then why are you going to fight that? You can negotiate that, but why you want to fight and argue and everything about how much you think it should be? Like, look, let's just get some conversations going about this. Let's try to get this as a national platform. Let's get this put on the table so something can be done. That's how I feel about everything. It's a process. It's not overnight you get something that you're going to like. I mean, that's just not the way it works. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this situation with the Chinese sending all their women in here to have children and be able to get on the free education, the free everything that you, the taxpayer, is paying, and they are finessing. I mean, the immigration issue is just way more than a wall. Trust me. They need to crack down on that birth tourism. But really, if they would just say the 14th Amendment was meant for African Americans, you'll cut out all that birth tourism if you just put it out exactly what it was meant for.